myself again, but it's the only way.
Good evening and welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith and Liam Kennedy. And let us dedicate this edition to Dave Harrison. Sad to hear of Dave's death over the weekend. A big follower of NUFC Matters and other Newcastle United related podcasts. It was a heartfelt tune review from Paul last night, who was supposed to be presenting a show with him. But Dave was a big contributor to the chat. Somebody who we recently made a moderator in the chat as well because of his common sense approach to dealing with those who are bringing negativity to the chat, like the others we have in there. And I know it'll be a big miss to all of you. Some of you only met him on the chat or in the chat. Some of you met him face to face, like I did at some of the events that we've put on since the COVID lockdown lifted, and of course met him at the food bank as well. Someone who gave up his valuable time before the games to go and help Steve Hasty, Bill Corcoran and co at the food bank since the start of the season. Dave will be sorely missed. Our love and thoughts go to his family. And Liam, I guess you would like to say something as well, because it's the first time we've had a chance to really pay our respects.
Yeah, definitely. A lovely man. Had the opportunity to meet him on a few occasions, mostly at the food bank. Turns out, small world, he'd known my dad for a long time. Worked with my dad for a number of years, about 10, 15 years in a previous job. A lot of time for him. So my dad have a lot of time for him. So really sad and shocked to hear that news this week. And love and thoughts go to all of his family and close friends out there.
Yeah, we chatted at the last home game, and it's something I'll treasure that, because I'm glad I went up. I nearly didn't go to the food bank, but things happen for a reason, and it's a pity because of his love for archery, and due to the COVID lockdown, I never got a chance to go up. And I was planning on doing something with him. We're going to go and do something with a camera and give him some publicity. So I know this will affect a lot of people, certainly those of you in the chat, and just make sure that if you do feel a bit down, if you're on your own, reach out to me, reach out to Liam, reach out to anybody in the chat. Make sure you give us a call, because these things can hit us all in different ways, and don't suffer in silence. That's all I'm saying. Okay, on to football related matters. And when Liam texted me yesterday, said he couldn't make it yesterday, I said, you're clearly doing this so you can be on the show when Kieran Trippier signs. Medical taking place. We've seen him. He's flown in. We've seen him at the training ground. Adam Pearson, as always, work rate unmatched, was up at the training ground to see him arrive and disappear. So big shout out to Adam tonight. But that's a hell of a signing.
Oh, no doubt about it. It's the kind of signing that they had to make as a first. They didn't. They could have signed anybody, really. But it's a statement. It's a shut up to a lot of the people out there who said Newcastle United wouldn't be able to sign anybody because of the situation. We all knew it wouldn't be easy. We knew it wouldn't be difficult. But this is Newcastle United, and they've got some good money behind them. I've just seen a little clip online of your good mate Simon Jordan and Trevor Sinclair having a little bit of a to and fro about why you would sign for Newcastle United. And look, I get what Simon Jordan's saying. If anybody who hasn't seen it, I would check it out. Simon Jordan's saying he's literally the only reason he's signing for Newcastle United is the money. It's a big part about it. Look, he probably wouldn't sign for Newcastle United if Mike Ashley was still the owner. That's fact. Probably is fact. But it isn't the only reason. He's come here to be part of something. He's come home effectively. He's from Bury. He's probably sort of 2.5 hours away from home, maybe 2 hours or so. So he's come home. He wants to come back to England, wants to play in the Premier League again. So I think it's a massive move, but it is that real statement of intent that Newcastle United as a football club in the position that they are can go and take a lad who was in the La Liga team of the season last year, arguably one of the best, most experienced right backs in Europe, international class, played at a really high level. Is still a current England international, isn't a fringe England international either. Is somebody that Gareth Southgate really trusts, is a good defender, first and foremost, but is a fantastic delivery. How long is it since we've had somebody who can actually take free kicks in a team? He becomes a real danger with free kicks. And I think he's just everything about the signing is positive. To get him for such a small fee as well up front is quite an incredible business. I know, of course, he's out of contract in the summer. May well have had an extension that could have been pressed on that one. But it's good value, really good value for money. Newcastle United have proven that they're not going to be messed around in this window. There's been a lot of criticism thrown away of the likes of Mehrdad and Manda and Jamie Rubin and others, saying, what do they know? How are they going to negotiate deals? I've seen it and watched on with a little bit of a smile, watching on, thinking that these people just don't know that these are top-class operators. They're business people who know what they're doing. And the proof of the pudding is always in the eating. And I think we'll know at the end of this window how good operators they are. And the opening stanza of this window, they had to act fast. I've seen some absolute loonies online already getting their knives out after a day, 2 days into the window. Why didn't have anybody lined up? Why? Come on, man. Give it a rest, will yous? Let yourselves enjoy something. This is the most exciting window Newcastle United have had probably ever since windows came into being. This is probably the most exciting window they've ever had. Let yourselves enjoy it. Put your knives down for once. There's no real cause for it. They will sign at least 4 to 5 players who will significantly improve this team. And it's going to give Eddie Howe and the rest of the squad the best possible opportunity to stay in the division. And Kieran Trippier is just the start. But he is the kind of statement level signing that really shows that these guys mean business. And they do mean business. It'd be interesting to know which way that they do go in this window. Will it consistently stay at that kind of level? Will it drop in levels? Is there a possibility that they could really push the boat out and go much higher in levels? All of these things are yet unknown. We don't know the direction in which they're going to go. But what we do know, and what I've had confirmed, is they're going to give it a right go. I've had that confirmed by a number of people. And all this talk, as we've warned on this show, Steve, me and you, the 50 million, which was bandied about a long time ago, let's just see what happens. They've shown their intent to spend a lot more than that already with the kind of bids and players that they're being linked with. So let's just wait and see. Let's enjoy the ride. It's been a long time since Newcastle United have been linked with the kind of players that they are. They'll not get them all. Some won't want to come at this stage, but some will. And getting Trippier through the door is a sign, and it'll be a little marker for other players who look at that sign and say, oh, well, actually, I was wavering. I might go there as well, because they mean business. They do mean business. And I think it's a good sign. It's only a start, and we'll build. But I'm really positive. I feel really positive about the noises that I'm hearing from behind the scenes, the caliber of player, the type of negotiations, the deals that they're trying to break. I think it's great. I think it's brilliant. And look, I was joking before saying the loonies. Just chill. Everyone needs to chill. If you feel a little bit of that anger inside, results might not be going the way. It might not. A deal might fall through, Steve. Sorry, 2 seconds. A deal might fall through. Please, I'd urge you guys out there, don't take your anger out on social media. Just hold that emotion for a bit, and don't at Mehrdad, Jamie. Don't at the players if they make a mistake. It's been something that's been playing on my mind over the course of the festive period. I haven't really had a chance to say it, but just please hold that emotion and don't take it out on people. It's a positive thing that these people are on social media. We want that openness. We want people to show a personal side of themselves. Don't spoil it. Come on, we haven't had good things for so long. Don't spoil the good things we've got now. Just relax, enjoy the ride, and what will be, will be. But I've got ultimate faith that these owners will get the people over the line that they need to get Newcastle United up the division and stay in the division.
Yeah, I would agree, mate. Couldn't echo your sentiments any more than this. Then you're right, 100% right. So that is a big thing, having owners as open and as talkative, as communicative as we've got, and I guess Sky Sports will be having to pay maybe Keith Downey a little bit extra now, because usually on transfer deadline, during the transfer window, he's got absolutely nothing to do. Literally every day he's going to be standing at St James's Park now in the freezing cold. So good luck to him. But he needs
to get himself some. He needs to get some long johns or something to keep himself warm, or a nice winter coat.
Yeah, obviously going to be a lot of people asking other questions tonight. I think we'll just keep it transfer related, because there's lots to want to ask, and I'll probably not get through all of them. I'll try and pinpoint some ones which are different. I've got to ask you about Coutinho, because it looks like he's going to come back to the Premier League. Is that something, do you think, that could be, is that, you know, when you're talking about a higher scale transfer, would you see that as a higher scale one? Because it's a big name, was fantastic at Liverpool, and again, kind of player that would get Newcastle fans excited and out of their seats.
Well, it's one that they were interested in when we thought the deal was initially going to go through. So I do think they will register an interest in the player. Is he the player of a few years ago? I would argue that he probably isn't. I think he's been damaged by the move to Barcelona. But would he be a massive improvement on the level of players that there are at Newcastle United already? Of course he would. Of course he would. And do I think they'll be involved in those conversations? Yes. He does fit into that category. We need to sort of... We're still waiting to find out whether they will roll the dice on players like that. There's a few fit into the category. It's what I'll say about it is, again, and I don't know the answer to this, is from what I've heard, I think that the Saudis will want somebody to come in that they can bang on billboards.
Yeah.
And they can sell the football club to the people of Saudi Arabia and the Middle East and beyond. And I do mean literally put on billboards, put on signs, put on branded products, etc. in the Middle East. They will want somebody like that. Whether January is the time for that, I'm not sure. But we'll just have to wait and see. I think a lot will depend on the way the window goes. And I think whether they get the centre-halves in that they want, because they want a couple. The left-back situation, I see a lot of talk of Lucas Digne. It's not somebody that I thought was at the top of the list. If that has changed, which certain people in the media seem to be suggesting it has, it's probably something to do with the fact that Everton's situation may have changed and there might be a want desperately to get him out. But it wasn't somebody that I was told was at the top of the list from conversations that I've had. Look, that could have changed, and hopefully it has, because he's a fantastic footballer, no doubt about it. But once they get the centre-halves in, possible left-back, a midfielder, and definitely a striker, then I think we might see them roll the dice on something creative. Could it be a Coutinho? Could it be a Gareth Bale? Could it be somebody else from in those kind of categories who are world-renowned and everybody knows their name? Look, I'm not going to sit here and rule it out. And that's the exciting thing about this window, is that I've never had anybody rule it out to me, those kind of transfers. And I think Coutinho will probably have 5 or 6 clubs interested in him.
Aston Villa look like they're in the driving seat. I mean, he played with Gerrard for 2.5 years.
Yeah, of course, the Gerrard link. And it might be something that, having had a bad experience where he is, not played a lot of games, he might want to go somewhere like that and have the arm around the shoulder from Gerrard and be allowed to do his thing and be a big fish in a small pond again. He might want to do that, and I've got no problem with that at all. But Newcastle United, look, it sounds like they might want somebody of that kind of ilk, but it's hard to know. And I think there's a lot of talking to be done, and a lot of action will take place between now and the end of the window. And all I would say to Newcastle United fans is strap in and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, I would agree. Okay, let's try and get through as many of these questions and queries that we've got. Tom Dixon asking about outgoings. He says, question for Liam. When will Newcastle start to get rid of some players, and who do you think will be showing the exit door? Of course, it's a question we've been asked on the show many times before, Liam. And again, it's all simply, speculation on our behalf, because, we don't really know who is not in the plans. But, Eddie Howe's only been in the job for a couple of months as well. He's still be making his mind up. But anybody, looking as if they're likely to leave after the first few days of the transfer window being open?
I think Dwight Gale was the obvious one, the one that would have made space in the squad quite easily. But the problem with Dwight Gale was that the injuries, and you're probably going to see someone like a Dwight Gale start on Saturday. They're probably going to have to hang on to him longer than they would have anticipated, because there was a lot of interest in him. There will be others leave. And I think, again, a lot of it depends on the incomings in which positions. I suspect, and I've written this, that I expect it'll be at least 4, probably at least 5, actually. Could be as much as 7 come through the door. Newcastle United have a 25-man squad. You drop a keeper, they've only got one place. So you're looking between 3 and 5, 6 places in that squad made available. I think a lot of it will depend on who comes in. But the key in this argument is Newcastle United don't need to get rid of players out of their squad. It's not an absolute must that they have to get rid of players to bring players in. That is an argument that we've had over 2 or 3 windows, because things were so tight in terms of the budgets. It was, we're not going to have players hanging around who aren't going to play football matches. So I think that's the one thing that people can take. I've gone beyond worrying about the numbers, worrying about who leaves, who doesn't. I don't really care who leaves now, being brutally honest. It's about who comes in, because people who drop out, well, that's fine. We're not worrying about getting rid of Gale for a couple of million so we can add a couple of million to the pot and we can get rid of Hendrick for his wages.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm not worried about that anymore. So I would urge anybody out there, don't waste your time on it either. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't. 100%. Craig Oliver, good evening. He says, did anyone here notice that the private jet Trippier came in today made 2 stops, one in Rome, one in Lisbon, before it made its way to Madrid? The plane spotters were out in full effect on Twitter today, mate. Was there any significance in that, do you think?
I don't know if there's any significance. I can't sit here and say if I know anything about it, but I did see people talking about Lisbon and other places. Do they think it was like jumping on the 63 to tune and they were picking up lads along the way? And one in Italy, one in Lisbon, and all jump off at Benton tomorrow? Well, I don't know. I don't think it was. But you never know. Look, you never know.
And I think stop for fuel. I mean, you don't know. He might have wanted a sandwich. It might have been this particular sandwich he wanted. You never know. This is modern day footballers. How bad is the ASM injury? I mean, my understanding of that was it's fine. He'd be okay for the cup game. Whether he's risked in the cup game, I wouldn't know. But he should be okay for the weekend, shouldn't he, if needed?
I think we'll see him against Watford, and I think we'll probably see him start up front against Watford. I think he'd be used as a striker as he was at Liverpool. And I think that position suits him, to be honest. I don't think Newcastle United... I love Callum Wilson, but they didn't lose a lot when Callum Wilson dropped out of the team. Yeah. And St-Maximin went further forward. They actually almost became a little bit more rigid against Manchester United because they took St-Maximin out of a disciplined position where he has to do defensive work and allowed him to be a bit more free further forward and brought Jacob Murphy in, who is a bit more disciplined defensively. So I would argue they'll be fine. In an ideal world, you would want to get a striker in by then, but if it has to wait until the week after, which I think is imperative that they do get a striker in by then that's fine. I'm not going to worry too much.
Yep. Okay. Do you know how many tickets we got for Leeds away? Is it in the region of 1,750, Liam?
Somebody said 1,700 to me the other day. I mean, the hope is that they'll release a few more. It's a bit of I've got to be honest, it's a disgrace if that's the allocation, considering Leeds get 3,000 or had 3,000 when it came here. It's a disgrace if that's all the lads get to travel away, in my opinion. But look, it's the way it is. I think it's happened in the past, hasn't it, where it's certain levels that they'll maybe release a few more, but who knows? Hopefully everybody who wants to go gets to go, but it's never the case with places like Leeds. They're always, you could probably take 5,000 or 6,000 sometimes if you really wanted to.
Yeah, Tom says apparently 1,000, but no, I think it's clear. I think it's nearer 1,750, mate, to be honest. Senshi Bat says, give the under-18 strikers a chance at Cambridge, give them a football education. Yeah, I'm all for giving youngsters a run out. I think they still need a few experienced heads in there, but it would be nice to see the likes of Anderson or White or whatever getting a run out against Cambridge for me.
Stupid thing is about those two players is they're playing exactly the same position.
Yeah,
is their best position.
Give them a half each.
I think there's ways you could put both in the team, and I'd like to see them both play. I think it's a perfect opportunity in front of a good crowd at home against lower league opposition in a game ultimately that's a free hit. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter one bit whether Newcastle win or not. Of course, you want to win. Feels like a good confidence boost going into a run of games that they need to win. But it's a free hit. Play some of the kids, play some of the promising kids who deserve a chance. And some of the fringe lads are going to have to play as well because Newcastle United have got bigger battles and the bigger battles start in Watford the week after.
Yeah, Tom says it's Leeds are saying that the reason because of the lower ticket allocation is because a new TV studio is getting built close by, making away access difficult.
That's a disgrace.
Yeah, rubbish, isn't it? Rubbish. Well, you know what to do. When we play them in the reciprocal game, we give them the same amount of tickets. It's only fair, isn't it?
Well, they should, but it'll not happen, will it?
Yeah, it won't. Craig Southgate, again, we've touched on it a little bit at the start, but let's look at it again. I mean, do you think they will go for an all-out top goal scorer as maybe the marquee signing?
I'm not 100% there will be a marquee signing. Like I said, I think there could be, and it'd be interesting to see which way. Like I say, there's going to be a lot of talk. It'd be interesting to see the way this develops because my initial understanding was that there wouldn't be anything like that. But then you start hearing murmurs and rumours and you start to think, could they? I know there's been, like I said, from the Saudi end, there is a want to bring somebody in who they can bang on billboards and posters and branded products and sell it, almost sell it with a big name, because it needs that in the Middle East, and it would help the project along some way. So almost will they sign somebody who is a name rather than somebody who's going to significantly improve the team's prospects, possibly. But it doesn't feel like, it's weird, and it's a weird one which I've played out in my own mind. It doesn't feel like the right time to do that kind of thing. The summer probably feels like more of a correct time. It's a horses for courses, some short-term stick and plasters. It's getting players in who can do the business now and improve the team now. If they were 10 points further up the division, then I would argue it would be the right time. But they're not, and they're in the relegation mire. They need to battle themselves out of it. And just bringing in a Gareth Bale take you away from that? Of course, wow, standard of footballer. Questionable whether his heart's still in it anymore. Questionable whether how damaged he is by the Real Madrid situation that he's had over the last few years. Was he an instant starter for Tottenham? Not always when he came back to English football. People like that, it's got to be right. And I think it's okay to go about signing somebody of that. And I'm not saying it's going to be Bale, but I'm saying somebody of that ilk. If they go and sign 5 or 6 others who we know will do the job, and you almost sign the marquee one on top of the solid business. So it's almost like an added bonus, a little flourish at the end. That's what the marquee would have to be. But I think the priority for me is that they want to sign good quality footballers at the moment. And the process is being driven largely by Eddie Howe, obviously has a big say. Steve Nixon has a big say. The guy they brought in, his name's just gone up my head, Hammond, the guy they brought in, he's having a massive say on things in terms of getting the deals done. And look, all the criticism that came along, and people said, and it was just a case of getting somebody in to do the deals.
Yeah, and I think
got a pretty good deal first up. That was what I would say.
Eddie Howe actually having a say for me is massively important as well. This is the guy who's got to coach them, and I think the fact that we are actually, looking at these players and what kind of people they are off the pitch, what kind of people they are in the dressing room, as well as whether they can play football, which of course is the most important thing, is very important. It's a lovely way of doing things. It's a great way of doing things. You're only going to build a successful team that way, and for me, it's again, it's another reason to be smiling from ear to ear,
But Steve, before we come on to the questions and I do want to come on to that question that's on here on the screen at the moment.
Yeah,
but it's a conversation. I had a conversation with my Newcastle United writer today, Jordan Cronin, and we're sort of chewing the fat over a Zoom call, and it was about Aubameyang, for example, and it's the weird situation Newcastle United find themselves in now. So it's okay to say would you take, if somebody said to me now, would you take Aubameyang and put him in Newcastle United? Would you take him in a heartbeat now? And my answer to that would be absolutely. The guy is a phenomenal footballer with an amazing goal scoring record. Is in the question, the very basic question has to be in that situation: is he better than Dwight Gale? Absolutely. So yes, you would take him, but it also doesn't feel like the right kind of signing. So would I choose Aubameyang to be the striker that Newcastle would sign? No, I wouldn't choose that to be the situation. So it's a weird situation they find themselves in. Weird that, yes, it's hard to be picky about players. I see the debates online where people are like, I wouldn't have him. I wouldn't have him. These are players who are beyond what Newcastle United would have thought. You would have thought Newcastle United could bring in. And I get the argument both ways. Yes, I wouldn't choose them, but would I have them? Yes, I also would. It's a funny one, and it's a one that will run and run. If Gareth Bale gets linked, where would you take him? Oh, I don't know about his attitude. Oh, I don't know if he's the same player he was. Is he only coming for the money? Is he going to spend his time in, a close house on a golf course? Is that all he's coming to Staley? Is that all he's doing? There'll be these arguments, but then there'll be other people saying, well, of course I would. He's fantastic. And it's a hard one. There's going to be a lot of those to and fro and trading of opinions and arguments. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's bloody brilliant. It's great that we're in a transfer window and we're not talking about feeling down the back of the sofa for a few pennies to bring in Hamza Chowdhury again.
Botman's on everybody's lips. Is that one
yes.
that you talked about? Is that still something that they're pursuing?
At the moment, yes. it's still a possibility.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's good news, I guess, for a lot of fans. Why does Simon Jordan have issues with Amanda Staveley, says Oliver Boothroyd? I mean, I think it's all just down to the fact that, you know, he has bumped into her in the past, and clearly just one of these people who makes judgments, I guess, on people's character without getting to know them. And, you know, I think Simon Jordan's performed probably a huge U-turn in the last few months since the takeover went through. He seems to be more pro-Newcastle than anti-Newcastle.
Yeah, I've sensed that too. I think there's a sense of realism with him. I think he was one of these people who'd absolutely convinced himself that this deal wouldn't happen and that Amanda Staveley was a complete chancer who'd failed at everything she'd done in football with Liverpool and Manchester City and Newcastle United first time round. I think he'd convinced himself that she was a chancer. These guys were just talking. That's it. I remember him saying it on a number of occasions. He was less than complimentary about some of the things that he said, which he ultimately tried to reel back on. But yeah, I think he'd convinced himself of that, and I think it's taken him a little bit of time to maybe realise, actually, I think they're not chancers, but he still has that element, and he's an outspoken guy who has really strong opinions. I actually agree with a lot of things he says. He's quite a clever man who articulates really well, but does get himself stuck in the mud sometimes with his determination to have strong opinions. And I think it's taken quite a lot of effort on his part to turn around that Newcastle United focus. I think he's quite real, and I think he accepts that Newcastle United are a player now, and that'll only continue to move forward. But he does get stuck in these arguments. I think that was the case with Amanda Staveley. I think he'd convinced himself that this takeover wouldn't happen, that the Saudis had walked away, he said on numerous occasions, and that Amanda Staveley was all noise and wasn't capable of completing this deal. Well, he was proven wrong quite a lot. So that's one thing that you've got to say that I said, and it was my New Year's message. I didn't have a New Year's message this year. My New Year's message this year was going to be that. Please don't at footballers. Please don't at with your minor emotional breakdowns. And please don't at the owners when a result or a transfer falls through. That was going to be my New Year message this year. But I thought secondly of it. I thought I'm not going to tweet that out there because it'll probably just wind some people up. But my New Year's message last year was be careful who you listen to. That applies to Simon Jordan. It applies to journalists, in the nose, pundits. Just be careful who you choose to believe when they tell you certain things. And I think that looking back on the last 12 months, reflecting back on 2021, I think a lot of people will now agree and say, yeah, well, I believed in certain people and certain people were right.
Yeah, okay. Is there any news concerning Keegan? When do you guys think you'll see him at St James's Park? Ashley Hannon's asking the same thing. Do we think there's any possibility of him joining the Revolution as an ambassador? I've heard nothing about it. I know they spoke to him very early into the tenure at the club with regards to, you know, just them taking over. We're here and we'll look forward to welcoming you to St James's Park. Whether anything's progressed beyond that, I don't know. The club are definitely doing very well with getting legends there. I've got Brian Kilcline going this weekend. I've had a few other legends visit. Warren Barton has already announced on Twitter he is coming over this weekend for the game against Cambridge. So ultimately, the integration of the legends back into the club is already happening, and that can only be a positive. So will Kevin Keegan be back anytime soon? I don't know. Will Kevin Keegan be back as an ambassador? I don't know. Look, at this moment in time, the fact that the door is open and these people can come back to the club is a massive, massive positive. So, there's been nothing confirmed at all on that kind of score. As for Shearer, people asking about Shearer as well. Shearer is going to be back at St James's Park in April. We're going to be doing a big, big event there. Newcastle Legends are doing a huge event at St James's Park to celebrate the 260 goals he scored for Newcastle United. There'll be more details on that when I can announce them. But yeah, we're going to be working with the club. Newcastle Legends are going to be putting an event on there. But again, will he give up the match of the day sofa to come and work at Newcastle United? It would need to be a very special job and a very special position, and it would need to be very special money. And we know that the Saudis have got money, but at the moment, I don't think that's going to happen either. So lots of tributes coming in for Dave as well. I'll read one or two of them out. Dave was such a gentleman, a really top-class man, says Geordie Toon for life. Dallas McDougall says, rest in peace, Dave, from all at Glasgow Newcastle Supporters Club. Lots of people just saying well done in our words. Rachel, one of our regulars, of course, and one of the moderators. Great words for Dave, Steve, and Liam. Lots of love for Dave tonight, and rightly so. He will be really sorely missed, especially in our chat. Julie as well, one of our regulars. Wonderful tribute, Steve and Liam. So thank you for that. We'll give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Big thank you to Spider VPN for all your internet security. Google Spider VPN. They are the boys to trust, and you can find them on Google. Go to the top of your Google search list, and the boys are there. So you'll find Spider VPN to protect everything on your computer. Skipsandbins.com. You can find them at this telephone number, 0800 25 45 25 3. Email inquiries at skipsandbins.com. Website www.skipsandbins.com. Easy contract, free and pay-as-you-go waste collection. Thanks for your sponsorship. And to L&G Family Funeral Directors, 0191 389 7245. And the Garden of Healing Dispensary, CBD hemp and cannabinoid specialists, www.thegohd.com. Thanks also to Arcot Interiors for sticking with us again this month. And Happy New Year to all of you guys. You can find them on Heaton Road for all your kitchen necessities. Google Arcot Interiors, and they come up at the top of the Google search list as well. Thanks also to John at qtechshop.co.uk, the makers of pool tables and snooker tables in Wallsend, Newcastle, and to Jab Signature, jabsignature.co.uk, for producing all of our flyers. If you're not subscribed yet, why not? Subscribe by hitting the Newcastle Legends logo in the bottom right-hand corner. Another 200 plus new subscribers in the last 7 days. Thank you for joining us. Hit the thumb up to like the video, click share to your social media, and drop into the comments box to speak to like-minded Newcastle fans or to potentially ask a question. We're also available as a podcast on iTunes and Spotify and the rest, and you can usually hear them 24 hours after the live show has finished. Don't forget, you can become a member of the NUFC Matters cult. Simply put your phone camera across that and it takes you direct to the website, nufcmatters.com. And you can become a cult member for £25. It's a one-off fee, and that gets you into the prize draw. Last month's prize was a PlayStation 5 and all the accessories. And a big thanks to John at QTech for sorting all of that out. Don't forget, you can also make a donation to the NUFC Fans Food Bank at that website, nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk. And that is on 365 days of the year. We have raised over 15,000 for the food bank since the show began, which is a ridiculous amount, but that's all thanks to you guys. And let's not forget as well the T-shirt, which is at the top of my Twitter, at Steve Wraith. Give us a follow on Twitter. And then pinned at the top is this T-shirt. We do a T-shirt a week for the food bank. Current bid on the Joe Linton T-shirt, it's a one-off, is £50. We will announce the winner for that one on the Three Amigos on Friday. So come on, try and get a little bit more in the pot for the food bank for that. And coming up to the big event of January, an evening with Peter Beardsley. Tickets for that are available on Voucher and Groupon. We've done over 300 tickets for that now. Should be a cracking night. Really looking forward to Peter telling a few stories about Newcastle, England, and the rest of his career. And delighted, if you didn't see the show a few days ago, Mick Lowes is going to be on stage with Peter. This is going to be his first event since he had his bad turn before Christmas. Great to have Mick confirming his appearance at that event. So that should be good. Okay, let's get back to the questions. See what we've got. Lucas, says Liam looks like Trippier's done. What next? Any interest in Sewell? Quietly been linked over the last couple of months, but gone under the radar.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that one, to be honest. He was a player that I linked to the club, having heard bits and bobs from within the agent fraternity. Will it happen? It doesn't. It sounds like that one's gone a little bit cool, I would say. I think other targets have come into the thinking. But this will happen during the month, that things will shift and move. I think we're seeing that with certain ones. I think Botman, as you mentioned earlier, I think that one's not done by bits that I've heard. I think Newcastle United will play the game on this one, but there will come a point where they need centre-halves into the football club And if that game proves too rich, proves too lengthy in time frame, they'll move on to other targets. It'll happen. I seen Craig Hope talking tonight about Lloyd Kelly, who's at Bournemouth. That's a real Eddie Howe pick, and it's one that Eddie Howe really does want to bring to the football club. Is the left side centre half that he would prefer to sign, but Bournemouth won't sell. I think it's going to be really difficult to sign a player like that when they're pushing for promotion and they've got so much on the agenda themselves and they don't need to sell financially. It's going to be really tough. It's going to be tough. There will be certain players in the window that you want and can't get. So that's why I've said, and I've said this all along, that they're not going to need a plan A, B, and C. They're going to need a D, E, F, halfway down the alphabet. They're going to need that. They're going to have to be agile in this window. So I think they will be. I think they're already proven that they'll move on if they need to. And I've got ultimate faith that they'll bring the players in that give Eddie Howe the biggest opportunity that they can to stay in this division.
I thought this would have come in a bit earlier, and I did learn something at the weekend that this people like to abbreviate names these days, don't they? And Aubameyang is what I know him as, but people were going Oba at the weekend, and I'm going, Oba? Who the hell's Oba? I've never heard of Oba. And then, of course, it's Aubameyang. So, yes, thoughts on Aubameyang? Proven goal scorer, but disruptive influence, says Ross. I mean, again, he's sitting on the bench getting paid a ridiculous amount of money for not playing at Arsenal, but let's face it, Arsenal seem to have picked up since he was dropped. Is that a kind of is that the kind of person we need in?
Again, I touched upon it earlier. Isn't the centre forward I would choose, but would he come if he was available to come to Newcastle and that's who they were going to sign? Would I take him? Absolutely. The guy scored 900 goals in the Premier League. The guy's an animal when it comes to scoring in football matches. But yes, he's got baggage, and is the baggage what they need at this moment in time? Probably not. But would I take him? Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Rachel says, is Digna definitely off the table? I mean, again, we mentioned it briefly at the start. Milan seemed to want him, but only on loan. Newcastle would make it a permanent deal if they took him. So, again, I think there's business to be done there. I think that wouldn't be a bad signing at all. I think it's certainly better than what we've got.
Oh, Lucas Digne is one of the best left fullbacks in world football. He's an incredible footballer. If you sign somebody like Lucas Digne, then you could argue outside of Manchester City and Liverpool, and you had Trippier on the other side. There aren't many better fullback pairings in the Premier League. Do I think it's a deal that'll get done? Again, as I mentioned earlier in the show, I've got a certain level of skepticism because it wasn't one that I'd heard was at the top of the list. There's certain journalists who are saying that he is at the top of the list, and I really hope they're right because he's a fantastic footballer.
Yeah, Brian says that Everton are pushing for more money for Digne, which they will do. We know that teams will certainly, look to up the fees when Newcastle come calling. But, these people aren't stupid. I think they've just proved that with this Trippier deal in particular. Lots of people saying they're just happy to see us competing again, which is true. Yeah. Just be happy we're getting support from owners of our club. We haven't had this for 15 years, says Terry. Sean says, Steve Liam, what do you make of Sven Botman liking the photo of Trippier at NUFC's training ground on Instagram? Nothing gets past our lot.
So, Sean, I'll ask you and come back on. Is this a fresh one? Because I seen he liked something yesterday, hadn't he? With suggestions that the deal was going to get done. But is he also liked this picture of him at the training ground as well? If so, then come on. This has got legs and it's running. It's sprinting. But like I said before, I think with the Botman one, I think, of course, the football club Lille are trying to get as much money as possible. I think that Newcastle United do want the player and will go to a certain level, but they won't have their eyeballs taken out by anybody. And I actually respect that as well, because you start setting the bar too high, you're only going to consistently massively overpay for footballers, whether that be in terms of wages or whether that be in terms of transfer fees or agents' fees or whatever. So I think they deserve a little bit of respect in terms of not being pushed too far. But I think that's a deal that potentially could get done. But it's a one that might roll on for a little bit into the window. And the caveat I would give to that is, will Newcastle United wait till the end of the window to get a significant piece of business like that done? I would have grave doubts whether they'll wait right at the end to do the centre-half business, which is one that they're prioritising. in this window.
John from Q says he's going to go and take Keith Downey a Costa because he looks freezing. So good luck with that.
Yeah.
Craig, a lot of people talking about Umtiti, who, of course, earns a lot of money at Barca. And when he played, he was awful, says Craig. Yeah, I mean, again, it's not one that I've heard heavily linked, that one. But because the Botman deal looks, in some media as if it's collapsing, some people are looking for the next one, But, I mean, again, is that one you've heard?
I've heard his name mentioned, but there's as mentioned there, the sums involved in that deal are eye-watering, astronomical. And I think were he to come to the Premier League, whether that be Newcastle or any other, those figures would have to come significantly down from the type that are being mentioned at the moment.
Yeah, Daz says he's here and that Shaw could leave. I think Newcastle will be sensible. I think a lot of these players who potentially could go out won't go out until we've secured deals for players coming in. It would be football suicide for them to start letting people go. Liam,
they're not in a position now to let anybody go.
No.
Because of COVID and injuries, they'll not be. I'd be surprised if they're letting anybody go without somebody ready to come in.
Geordie Toonvalay says, Liam, so you're saying Hendrick's not the man for billboard?
He might be. I think he's he's got the hair. He's not a bad looking lad. He might be.
He could be. For maybe hair products or something. Yeah, what do I know about hair products? What about Aaron Ramsey? Says Gary. Another name that's been mentioned.
This is a strange one. The Aaron Ramsey one, really strange. You've got a football club in Juventus who are literally quoting him out to everybody and anybody just to get him off their books because he's on a significant sum. I'm led to believe it's about 250. There's about 250 grand, I think. He's on, plus bonuses when he plays, scores, wins, etc., which takes it up to again eye-watering figures, well beyond anything you'd want to pay for a player of that level. But is he a very good footballer who could improve Newcastle United? Of course. I hear a lot of noise from Europe and not a whole lot of noise from the UK, but it's definitely going to be one to watch.
Trippier for captain, says Ian. A lot of people saying that. We had that on the show the other day, and I've got to be honest, it was when we're on with Mick Lowe's. If Trippier signed, would you give him the captaincy? You know what? I can see why people are saying it, but don't go in and unbalance things, with the likes of Lascelles, etc. But I could see it happening next season.
What I would argue on this one, and I think it actually makes a lot of sense. Tell us in the comments if you think I'm talking rubbish. If Newcastle United sign the level of players that they're hoping to sign in the positions that they're hoping to sign, there probably isn't a place in the team for Jamal Lascelles, who's the current captain. So why would you rock the boat, take the armband off him at this point in the season? It doesn't make any sense. You could still have Kieran Trippier captain if that was what you really wanted to do, because Lascelles probably wouldn't be in the team anyway. So I would just say it's probably, for me, sensibly, I would think, if that's what they were going to do, it's probably a decision for the summer. That's probably when you change things around if needs be.
Okay, Paul says, I know this isn't Newcastle, but what's your thoughts on Southampton being sold for 100 million? I've got to be honest. The length of time it took was absolutely ridiculous. It was. And one thing I would point towards is the media attention has been absolutely null and void. It's almost passed by as just a footnote in newspapers and on the radio and TV. It hasn't really taken up any column inches at all, but that shows the significance of Southampton as a Premier League football club compared to Newcastle United, and of course the level of owners that have come in at both football clubs. Okay, Pablo says, we're buying forward, playing fullbacks, Trippier and Digner, but still have two terrible centre-backs. I'm hoping we have a bigger plan. Believe you me, I do think these people have got a big plan. Yes. And like I said, Eddie Howe's relationship with with the owners and the fact that he has got a hands-on this, it can only be a positive. It really can only be a positive. Seems there is no relegation clause in Trippier's contract. Let's hope, says Trolls.
We don't know that. I mean, what I would say is we don't know that.
Lots of people suggesting that there might be, and some people saying there won't be. I'll be very surprised if he hasn't got one. Let's be perfectly honest. It would be bad of his agent if he didn't have one. Injury record's the only concern for Ramsey. for me in terms of on the pitch, says Blue Moon Boy. Geordie Toompa Life says Ramsey on 400 grand because he was a free transfer. He's only played about 1 hour of football for Juventus.
I don't think he's actually on. I think that's the number that got bandied around, the 400 grand, but I don't think it is. I think it's a lot less than that. It might get up towards 400 grand if he plays the win, he scores a hat-trick. I don't think it's quite that.
Brilliant comment, Norman. The only 2 players I've not heard mentioned are Roy the Rovers and Alf Tupper. Roy the Rovers. It's funny because I'm actually selling all my old Roy the Rovers. You know, when you start going through lockdown and you start going through your loft, and I've literally got. I had about 800. And I've been selling them off in books of 20. So I've been actually flicking through old Roy the Rovers, and he'd be a great striker, mind. Double up as manager if anything happened to Eddie Howe as well. Cody and Trippier would work together. They are good friends. Yeah, Cody. I mean, I think that would be Dreamsville for me if Cody came, especially that. I don't know whether you saw Wolves against Liverpool, mate, but he was immense.
He is immense, and he's the right type of character that you want around a football club. But again, it's one of them that I don't think that's a deal that gets done in January.
Yeah, it could be an August one, but like a summer one.
Definitely. I mean, it's one that has been spoken about, and he is on the long list. But I just don't think it's one that gets pushed at this point in the season. I think Wolves would be unbelievably reluctant sellers. I don't think they press the button on that deal. Full stop.
Geordie Toomba says some fans think he does nothing but captain on the field. It's much bigger than that, and it would cause disruption, which is my point exactly about Lascelles. That's a decision you make in close season, not a decision you make during the season at any level of football. Taking the captaincy off somebody, I've got to be perfectly honest. Jack, mouth of the time, good lad, to be fair, but it's a Twitter account. Let's put it that way. He has been wrong before. Look, I've got a lot of time for him as a person, but just don't take everything Twitter accounts, not just him, but Twitter accounts in general say. You're only as good as your source. Who are these people's sources? Wait until you see the person getting out of the van and going into Newcastle United. That is your best. That is your best way of seeing who is going to sign and who isn't. We can all speculate, but let's not mislead people. You know what I mean? I think it's, that's where Twitter is a bit of a nightmare, to be fair, especially during these times. Lots of people, again, as I said, like we said, paying our respects to Dave tonight. Neil says, watch out, me dad. I think Simon Jordan secretly fancies Warm Andy.
It's an interesting theory.
It is an interesting theory, but it's an allegedly, and it's got nothing to do with NUFC matters. We are not indicating that. We are simply reading out a tweet from Neil Skinner, a message from Neil Skinner. Again, just so much. You can feel the enthusiasm in the chat tonight. It's such a welcome change, Liam. When bearing in mind, we've been doing this show for nigh on 2 years. It'll be coming up to 2 years this year, and I can't remember you and I smiling during a transfer window chat.
No, genuinely not. And I think even through all the takeover stuff, like even when we felt positive, it was you're holding back that smile a little bit because it's not happened yet. So yeah, this is drink it in, Newcastle United fans. This is what you've been waiting for. This is dreamland. It really is. If Newcastle United go out and spend 100 million quid, which I think they might, if they go out and spend 100 million quid in this January, it doesn't matter who it's on. That was unthinkable under Mike Ashley. It wasn't even anywhere close to the agenda never mind thought about. So yeah, just drink it in, just enjoy it. And hopefully they'll stay in the division, because if they do stay in the division, that's when the door really gets unlocked. That's when the door really unlocks and the positivity can really flow. But there's still that feeling at the moment. We're all smiling. There's still that caveat in the back of your mind that, oh no, they still might get relegated. Maybe I'm riding the positivity wave at the moment, but I think they've got through that really tough period. And I think other teams like Burnley having games called off, and Watford and others who've caught up a touch, and they're only a game and 2 games behind. I think I expected at this stage, walking into the January transfer window, into this FA Cup game, to be at least 5, if not 6 points adrift from safety. We're not. We're only 2. I think there's a lot to be positive about.
Ginger Hoskins says he really wants Diego Carlos. He's a top centre back at 28. Fancy him?
I don't know a lot about him. I'm not gonna lie. We were talking about this earlier. I don't know. I'm not an avid follower of La Liga. I've got enough.
Me neither.
I've got enough on me plate with. I'm not going to pretend to be either. I've got enough on me plate with 3 kids, 2 cats, a dog. You know,
and a partridge in a pear
tree. One of them, and jobs galore, and looking after teams, and that I genuinely don't have the time to sit and watch La Liga on Sky Sports or anything like that. I just don't have it. So if you tell me he's a good player, I'm happy. If he's a better set, the only question I would ever ask on these players is, even if I don't know who they are, is he better than Kieran Clark? And if the answer is yes, then he's improving my squad. So there we go. We'll take him.
Lukaku's back in the Chelsea team tonight. I don't think there's any question of that, so we can write him off our list, I think, of players wanting to come to St James's Park. Adam Shires, Dembele from Lyon.
Interested, definitely. There's definite interest there. There are reservations about certain things about him, but I think that is one to watch, and it could develop over the course of the window.
Billy the Fish is available. Yeah, good keeper. Not quite as good as Dubravka. A little bit smaller, but I'm not.
He's not great with his feet, is he?
No, definitely not, mate. Definitely not. John, yeah, thank you for saying that, mate. Bizarrely, over 800 watching tonight, but thank you very much for your attention. Please hit the thumb up below the video. It does help us. Over 129 of you have done it, but there's 800 watching. Be great if you could give the likes to the video, because me and Liam love doing the show, but it's nice to get that little bit of recognition, which costs you absolutely zero. Liam, any legs in Ben Brereton Diaz? Now, this guy is the guy who has eclipsed Alan Shearer's record at Blackburn, getting to 20 goals quicker than Big Al. He's even got the celebration down to a T with the hand up in the air when he scored a couple of times. Is that one that's got legs, and is he worth the risk? I mean, we wouldn't take, we didn't dive into the transfer market to bring an Armstrong or an Ivan Toney. In fact, we got rid of both of them. But those are players that have been linked with Newcastle in the past as returning, and us having to spend more for them than we released them for. Is Brereton going to be good enough for the Premier League, and is he worth taking a gamble on?
He's a player he's a player that's been watched by Newcastle United quite closely since his days at Nottingham Forest. He was somebody who was under consideration when Steve Bruce was here, when they were looking around the Championship for potential ways to strengthen. Should Alan St-Maximin not go through, and other deals that they had in play that summer. Jared Bowen was one of those players who's gone on to be excellent for West Ham. But Ben Brereton was another. It's nice how everybody just adds the Diaz on the end now, but it's always been Ben Brereton when he was at Nottingham Forest and in his early days. But look, the lad he had a lot of promise when he was a young player and has gone on. It's taken him a little bit of time to really start showing that. But this season he's been consistently good, having been called up for Chile. I think his mum is Chilean or has Chilean roots, so that's where that call up came from. And the little 4 letters on the end of his name got added on at a later date. But yeah, I think he's somebody who's been interested in the scouting team for quite some time. And one thing why I think it may have some legs, this is me saying I think it'll happen, is why it might, is that the transfer team, who took a lot of criticism under Mike Ashley, I think maybe unfairly so. The Joe Linton thing was used as a stick to beat Steve Nixon and the other people in and around the transfer team in Newcastle United. And again, at times, rightly so. But then you trade that off with the excitement of Alan St-Maximin, trade off with other players that have come in recent years that have been decent. They're driving a lot of this, and he's a player that's on their books. He's a player that's somebody that they watched and analysed. So you've got to say that could it have legs? Yeah. They're having a big say. They're the incumbent team. They're the team who are already at the football club and have been doing a lot of the data-driven, and a lot of it is data-driven analysis to bring footballers to the football club. And if Ben Brereton fits the data, which they'll have a lot on him because he is somebody that they've watched for quite some time, if he fits the data, I'm sure they'll go for it. Do I think he's the right type of player to bring to the football club? I'm not sure. Being brutally honest, I wasn't sure when I first heard that he was linked, and I'm still not sure now, despite the 20 goals, which is an incredible feat for obviously a very good player, but it's a big step. It's a big step moving from that division up. All we talked about on this show incessantly for about 12 months was when we're going to sign Adam Armstrong, when we're going to sign Adam Armstrong. Proof in the pudding is in the eating, isn't it? You know,
Right.
Players can score goals galore and struggle in the Premier League.
We've got five more minutes. We've got a few more names starting to blend into the chat. Alfredo Morelos, says Tom Dixon and Chris Jack.
I don't think so, but obviously things change very quickly.
Gabriel Barbosa.
I think that one even less.
West Ham, I think they're really interested in. They're interested in him, and I think he could be interested in going there.
Yeah, it sounds like West Ham are interested, but he's a player that is being offered again. Another player who's just been offered around everywhere. So
Gary Milligan says Douglas Barder is better than Kieran Clark. Dear me out again. That is Gary Milligan's opinion, not mine. Craig says, is Gabigol one of the strikers we want, or is Núñez from Benfica?
Despite the amazing transfer fee, I think the latter is more likely than the former.
Yeah. Has Liam heard anything about Seko Fofana from Lens?
Yes, I have heard about Seko Fofana from Lens. I've heard a lot of good things, and I've heard his name mentioned on numerous occasions with regards to the midfield position. That's another one that I don't think it's definite, but it's one that I would definitely keep your eye on over the course of this window.
People love doing this to me and trying to catch us out. JWP.
I don't know.
They've caught you out as well. Who's JWP?
James Ward-Prowse.
James Ward-Prowse, yeah. So now we've gone from calling Aubameyang Oba to now just putting initials, just to make it even more difficult. Thanks 100%, Matt.
Well, that's the task. We've got to guess the name before I decide whether I think you'll come or not.
Chris, no. We'll only end up with one question if we ended up doing that with your answers.
No.
Right, we'll keep the answer.
Don't think so. No.
Daniel Kelly from Rangers.
I don't know anything about that one.
All right. Simon says, let's just sign Bas Dost for a giggle.
Possible? No, it's not.
Bring down a flask of soup. Jeff says, any update on our pursuit of Hamza Chowdhury?
Still quibbling over the 800 grand that they need to pay to get him in.
Derek reckons that Hendrick is going to become the head of security at the training ground.
I don't know. Look, I think he'll get a move, and I think there'll be a lot. I actually think there'll be clubs in the Championship will be desperate to snap up a player like Jeff Hendrick, and I think he could be one, provided his wages are supplemented, that could be moved out quite easily. Yeah,
we touched on this earlier, Kenzie, so I'm not sure if you're tuning in late. Do you know if there's any truth in Digner as a no-go? We don't know yet. Fabrizio Romano said no way was he coming here. Yeah, I saw that on Twitter.
Yeah, I saw that as well, but I'll just briefly go over what my information was on Digner. I've been a little bit surprised by the strength of stories that have come out, because it didn't sound like he was at the top of their agenda. But as things happen, things can change very quickly in the window, and there might have been a situation change. There might have been a development that they thought they need to bring him in that position, strengthen really quickly. I don't know. Again, it's one that I hope I'm wrong, because he's a fantastic footballer, but I would be surprised if he's wearing a black and white shirt by the end of the window.
What about IWCLP? I've got no idea who that is. Chrissy says Ming Prowse.
Sounds like a department or something, that doesn't it?
It does, like Ming Prowse, Cody and Madison.
No.
Nah. I think we should just offer 100 million for Foden, says Paul. And we've covered the Blackburn Diaz thing, Blue Moon Boy. To get the love shown to you by good people who never had the privilege to meet you is a testament to someone of great character. And Dave Harrison was loved by many. Many people. Stay strong, the chat. And that was from Brian. And I think that's a lovely place to finish it, because this was dedicated to Dave Harrison. We will miss you, Dave. We'll make sure that, we collectively, I think, send something from NUFC Matters once we know the details of the funeral. And of course, we will announce them if the family want that on the programme. And as I'm sure Paul from Toon Review, the lads at Loaded, etc., will do the same. But listen, we're there for the family if needed. Liam, quick promotion for Newcastle World, please.
Newcastle World. You can see it down there, newcastleworld.com. Check it out on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, anywhere you want. Give myself a follow at Liam J. Kennedy 23 on Twitter, and Jordan Cronin as well. Search him out. He's a Newcastle United writer. So, give us all a follow. Keep supporting the new website, because every time you come on and view it, I see the figures every day. I see you guys out there. You're all supporting the cause. Keep going, and I hope you're enjoying the content. If you're not, tell us you're not enjoying the content. Tell us what you want to see. My DMs are open. You can always tweet us. Let us know what you want to see. But thanks very much, everybody, for all the support throughout the end of last year, and hopefully be onwards and upwards in 2022.
Great stuff, mate. Thanks, as always, for popping on and sharing an hour of your time and giving us an insight. And obviously back next Tuesday, unless we'll have some monumental signings, and we'll get you on for 10 or 15 minutes to talk about them. But let's see what happens in the next 7 days. Look forward to catching up with you soon, Liam. Take care, mate.
Cheers.
Critics attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again. But it's